Hey YouTube, I'm Kishan, and in this video we are going to build this awesome portfolio using Next.js, Framer Motion and SCSS. Also, we'll be hosting this application on Kinsta at the end of the video. So now let's get started. Let me give you a demo of this application. So let me reload the page again, and you can see that there is an awesome loader here. This animation is purely created using Framer Motion, and all of these animations are created using Framer Motion. So first we have the navbar here. In the navbar you can see this numbers here. For this numbers I have used the CSS counters. Then this is the hero section. Now after this comes the about section. You can see that there is a beautiful hover animation on this image. This is pure CSS. Then this is the experience section. Also you can see that as we scrolled, the navbar is fixed to the top with this beautiful shadow, and we also have this blur effect on the navbar. This looks pretty cool for your portfolio. Then this is the experience section. You can see that we can change the sections from here, and we have this beautiful animation here. Now the next is the projects that we have built. So isn't this an awesome layout? At the end we have the contact section, and at the end we have this footer section. So this footer grabs the stars of the repository it has been provided. So that's a very cool feature. Now let me show you the accessibility again. We have the accessibility everywhere. Isn't this portfolio cool? Now let me show you the responsive mode. So this is the responsive mode. We also have the responsive navbar here. You can see that whenever the navbar is opened, we have this blur effect here on the background. Let's close the navbar and let's reload this, and you can see that the logo animation is here also. So the layout has been entirely changed as per your screen size. So this is the tablet mode. You can see the project's layout is also entirely changed. Now let me show you this in the mobile mode. So this is the mobile mode. As you can see, it looks awesome on your mobile device too. This experience section is scrollable here. Isn't this looking great? Now let me show you this responsive. So now without wasting any time, let's get started to create this awesome portfolio. And yeah, before moving further, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Now let's get started. So now let's talk about Kinsta. Kinsta is a cloud platform that offers simple, fast and reliable hosting for your application and databases. With Kinsta, you can easily create databases using MariaDB, Redis, MySQL and PostgreSQL, making it a versatile option for developers and entrepreneurs alike. And the best part, you can try Kinsta for free with a $20 credit to get started. So as you can see that my hosted application takes very less amount of resources on Kinsta and it works perfectly. So now let's create an account on Kinsta by sign up, and you can see that you get free $20 credit. I'll write in my email, my name, last name, a strong password. I agree to the terms, continue, and add on the billing details. And after that, you will be redirected to Kinsta's dashboard. Okay, as you can see that account was created successfully, and now I can create the applications, and you can see that we have 20 credits available. You can add a service from here, the application or database. It's pretty simple. We are gonna host our portfolio at the end on Kinsta with the $20 free credits. So make sure that you watch the video till the end. So now let's get started. So let's start the base setup of our application. So first, what I'm going to do is I have opened a new VS Code, and inside it I've opened a new terminal, and I'll head over to this website nextjs.org, and from here we'll install the Next.js application. We just need the command from here. So first we have to install this create next app package. So let's do that. Head over to VS Code and npm install create next app -g to install it globally. Wait for this to install. Okay, it has been installed, and now what I'm going to do is I am going to copy this command of yarn create next app with the TypeScript flag because we need TypeScript. Paste it and wait for this to install. So yeah, you have to give your project name here. So I'm going to give it a next portfolio. Hit enter, and yes, we need the ESLint. Also, this would be the source directory, and we don't need the experimental app directory. And yeah, we need the alias configured. Wait for this. It will install all the packages. So yeah, our application has been set up successfully. Now let's move on to the next portfolio folder by cd next portfolio, and I'm going to start this application by yarn dev. So it uses the dev command to start the server. So I'll write yarn dev, and it have started. Let's head over to localhost 3000. We reload this. Yeah, that's it. So our application is working successfully. Now we don't need this. We close this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install some dependencies. So that is going to be the Sass because we are using the SCSS. Then we need the React icons for the icons, and we also need Framer motion for animation. So yeah, that's it. Wait for this to install, and while this is being installed, let's remove this styles. We don't need this, and inside of this I think we also don't need this. Let's keep this for now. And inside index.tsx, what I am going to do is going to remove all of this and write rfce, and make sure this is capital I. Also this. That's it. And inside, that's it. I think we don't need anything else. Let's start the application by yarn start. Not yarn start, we need to run yarn dev. Yarn dev. Okay, it's working now. Let's refresh this. Okay. Inside of app, we have to remove this CSS import, refresh it, and yeah, it's working. So we also don't need this API folder because we are not going to use that. And again, so all our routes would go inside this pages directory. So Next.js use the file-based routing, and I don't think we need this. Let's keep this for now. And inside of index, anything, yeah, now let's create a new directory named as components. All of the components would be inside of this, and this should be inside of source directory. and after this we will also have a sections directory. So all these sections like navbar, footer, home, not the home page but the home section, the about section, all of those section would be inside of this sections. And let's create a new file named as, not file, a folder named as SCSS for styles. And inside of this we are going to create component styles, and uh, other would be section styles, and there would be an index.scss here. And yeah, that's it, I think. So now let's check here, everything works. And now let me open the portfolio so we can see what we have to develop first. Give me a minute. So now what I'm going to do is, first we have to create this background inside of here. So for that, let's head over to our VS Code, and inside of here I'm going to create a new file name as underscore globals.scss, and inside of that I'm going to paste in some variables. So I think the variables should be inside a variables file. So inside variables.scss I'm going to paste these variables, so you can just write it by yourself. Pause the video and write it by yourself. And again, what I'm going to do is, I am going to also copy in the text variables. So these are all the color variables, and these are all going to be the text variables. So make sure that you write this down. And also, when you create this file, make sure that it has an underscore, because this is an partial and we are going to import it inside of here. So first we'll import the variables, and after that we are going to import the global.scss. Now inside the globals.scss, what I'm going to do is, first I will select the body and give it a background color of where background color. Let's head over here, refresh this. Oh yeah, we also need to import this index.scss. So let's head over to pages inside of app.tsx, not app, inside the index.tsx, and I am going to import the SCSS file here at SCSS and index.scss. Global CSS cannot be imported from file other than custom app. Okay, so let's cut this and have this inside app.tsx, and I think that should work. Let's add over, yeah, that's working. So they should be inside the imported inside the app.tsx. And now, so another thing that we are going to do is, we are going to remove the default margin and padding. So inside the globals.scss, we'll select the star selector and give it a margin of 0, padding of 0, and box sizing of border box. And yeah, we have removed the extra margin padding, and I think that's pretty much it for now. So that's it. So now the next is, we are going to implement this navbar. So for that we'll have to create this logo, and after that we'll have this. So yeah, let's do that. So let's work on the navbar. Okay, so for this logo, I have an logo.tsx file which has been uploaded to my GitHub gist, and I will be sharing this link inside the description of the video. Head over to there and copy this logo.tsx file. So we are just going to copy this because we cannot write this inside this video, the SVG. I'm just gonna copy this, and inside of our VS Code, inside the components, I'll create a new component named as logo.tsx and paste it there. Let's close this and let's inside the sections here, let's create a new file named as navbar.tsx rfce, create the component, and inside the index.tsx we are going to import this. So head over to index.tsx, remove this, and inside of here I'm going to import this navbar, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a class name of app. That's it. And now inside of navbar I'm going to import that logo. So let's head over to navbar, remove this, and instead of divs we are going to use the nav tag, and inside the nav tag first we'll have a wrapper class, wrapper. After that we will have a class name, div with a class name of brand. Inside of that we are going to use a link that has to be imported from next link. So this link component is provided by Nextjs itself. Whenever you want to use the anchor tags or the link tags, you should use this links component from the Nextjs, and this has the href prop and we have to pass the URL. So for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass in the URL of my YouTube channel, youtube.com/kishansheth21. Let's also provide the HTTPS protocol. That's it. And inside of this link I'm going to import my logo here, logo. Let's head over to here. Okay, we have a logo of this kind. We need to fix this. Okay, the hrefs are working, and let me do one thing. I'm going to shrink this so you can see what we are doing, and I'll head over to SCSS. Inside the components I'm going to create a new component SCSS. So that is going to be logo.scss. Make sure that you uh, have this underscore before all the SCSS files. Also we need the index.scss. This should also have underscore because that's an partial. Import, and we are going to import the logo.scss, and now inside index.scss we are going to import that. Inside the components we have the index.scss, and let's do the same, copy and paste inside sections, and here we are going to create underscore navbar.scss, and inside this let's import that navbar. Head over to the main index.scss and import that sections folder, and inside of that we need the index. That's it. Now what I am going to do is we will be heading over to the uh, navbar file. Give me a minute. Yeah, navbar file. So let's head over to this navbar and let's select nav, and first we'll give this a min height of 60 pixels, and we'll also do one thing, we'll give it a background color of red to check if things are working, and they are. Now let's select the wrapper, and inside of wrapper we have the brand, and inside of brand we have the a tag. And what I'm going to do is first I'll give it a color of var theme color. Okay, these should be curly brackets, and the color is changed to purple. And now let's give it a height of 3 rem and a width of 3 rem. Also provide this a fill of none. Okay, so the logo was visible. Refresh this, and I think we need to do one thing. Let's head over to the logo.scss, logo, and inside of here we'll select the logo by its ID, give it a color of var theme color, and we will also be giving it a height of 100% and a width of 100%. Also give it a fill of none. Is this working? Let's give it a display of none. Yeah, that's working. But the height and widths are not working. Let's head over to navbar.scss. Let's give this a display of none. That's also working. But our height and width are not working. So let's do one thing. Let's give it a display of flex, justify content center, align item center, and yeah, that's working now. Now let's give that a margin also, margin of 2 rem and 0. That's it. The left and right margins would be set from the wrapper, I think. Yeah, so that's not the margin. We will set that by padding of 0 and 4 rem. That's it. Now let's give this a width of 100% as well, and give it a display of flex, justify content of center, not center, space between, and align items of center. After this, let's provide this a transition of 0.3 seconds is and out. So this is for the responsive navbar, and let's give it a position of relative. This both properties are for responsive navbar, but we are adding that now, so we will not be let's copy this also, this transition property, and give that here. And whenever we hover over this, we want to fill it by 6 fold FA D91A. That's it. Let's hover over it. That's not working. Ampersand hover. I think I know why it's not working, because let's keep this aside for some minutes and give this a cursor of pointer. After that, we'll also give it a focus, and whenever there is focus, we'll give it an outline color of theme color, and we'll also give it a fill of this color. So let me copy this fill and let's remove this fill. Now after this, we'll also give it an outline of 2 pixels dashed transparent. And now when we hit the tab, so we have this outline here like we had here. The only thing we don't have is the hover property. We'll get around that. So ampersand hover, the fill, I think I had a mistake with the color. Let's do one thing. We'll do that afterwards. Now let's do this links. So for that, head over to navbar.tsx, and in here what I'm going to do is I have the section links variable, and I'm going to copy paste that here. You can write it by yourself. That's an array of objects with the name as the this property, these names, and whenever we click on those, so where do we want to go? So those are the links. So we have the 4 sections: about, experience, work, and contact, and these are the links for that. So after the logo here, after this brand, we will be having the dev as nav items dot nav items, and inside of that we'll have ul dot nav items list, and inside of that list we are going to map the section links variable section links dot map, and this is going to be name. Let's destructure this name and link, and we are going to return an li tag, and inside of that li tag we are going to provide a key of name, and the value would be the name. I think we need to wrap this li inside the next link, so I'm going to use the link component again, and inside of that I'm going to write the name, and the href prop to this would be the link. That's it, and let's give this a class name also. So this is going to be have nav items list item, and this is going to have a class name of nav items list item link. I think that's it for now. And at the end we have this button to download the resume. Okay, don't have the resume here. Resume, okay, because I have two ports here, so the resume is on 3001. So yeah, that was working. Now we need that resume, so let's do one thing. We'll do the resume afterwards. Let's style this first. So let's click on one of these and you can see the links are being updated. So let's style this now. So let's head over to navbar.scss, and after this brand we are going to have the nav items dot nav items, and let me have the VS Code this side, nav items, and inside of this we'll first give it a display of flex, then we'll give it a gap of 3 rem, ampersand list, display flex, let's remove this, display flex, and let's give it a gap of 3 rem, listal type of none, and let's select the ampersand item A, and what I'm going to do is I will be giving this a color of where lightest slate, and inside of this A tag I'm going to use the color inherit property. That's it. We don't need any text decoration, so text decoration would be none. And after this let's give it a padding of 10 pixels. Now what I'm going to do is inside of this nav items here we'll give this a font size that would be var, and the size would be tsm1, and after that we'll give that an counter reset. So we'll be using the CSS counters here. So nav list, so it would auto increment whenever we call that function. So this would be at 1. So what we are going to do is inside this A here we'll using the pseudo selector before, and inside of that we are going to have the counter increment and use the nav list counter, nav list, and the content here would be, will be having the 0 first, then we'll have the counter nav list, and after that we need the dot. That's it. Let's give it a color of var theme color, and we have the 0 1 2 3 4 here. So these are the CSS counters. So first what we did here is we had the counter reset here, so that defines or resets the counter. So we defined a new counter by navlist, and after that we inside of this A, so we wanted the counter before this, so we used the pseudo selector before, and here we incremented the counter first. So from 0 the value was first here, and after that we have the content here, so 0, and from this function we can fetch the current counter value, so that was 1 here, and that's it. So if I do one thing, if I have 2 counter increment here. So the initial value would be here, the 2. I think that is not working. Let's do one thing, counter increment. Yeah, so whenever we call this counter increment, it would increment the value. So I'm going to delete this. And now what I'm going to do is we need the fonts here, so different fonts. So we are going to use the Google fonts, but we are going to import that from Next.js. So Next.js already comes injected with Google fonts, so that's a very good feature. So I'm going to use that. So we'll head over to underscore app.tsx. Let me increase this size here. And we are going to use 2 fonts, that is Railway and Fira code. So I'm going to import that from next/font/Google. I'm going to import the Railway and Fira code. This one, that's it. And now after this, what I'm going to do is I'll define const railway equals to call the railway function and pass in the subsets that we need. So I'm going to pass subsets, and that is going to be Latin. That's it, Latin. And for the Fira code, I'm going to write Fira code equals to Fira code, and in here we'll be passing subsets as Latin. And what we need next is the weight. So we are going to be importing different weights. So this is 300, 400, 500, 600 and 700. So yeah, that's it. And now, if you're wondering why I'm using Next fonts instead of Google fonts, so this gives benefits. So one of the main benefit is uh, the Next library fetches the Google fonts whenever we build our application. So whenever we build our application, some static HTML, JavaScript, and CSS files are created, and at that time only our fonts are downloaded. So that's a very good feature instead of the create react app. So in that, what we did is we manually imported the fonts, and whenever we load our application inside the browser, it would go to Google Fonts and download the fonts, and it would not cache it anywhere. So it would re-download every time we hit the browser. So this is a very good advantage over that. So let's use that, and inside of this return, what I'm going to do is wrap this with brackets and wrap this with React fragments. Have this after the fragment, and inside of here we are going to use the style tag, style, not sty. We are going to use style, and I'm going to pass this as JSX as true, and this is going to be have a global prop. And inside of this, now what I'm going to do is colon root, and we are going to be defining some CSS fonts. So that is going to be railway, and railway would have railway dot style dot font family, style dot font family. That's it. And now we'll be having Fira code. Fira code is going to be Fira code dot style dot font family. That's it. So our fonts are set up successfully, and let's do one thing. Now I'm going to replace this font with the Fira code. So let's head over to navbar.scss, and in here I'm going to give it a font family of where, and this is going to be Fira code. You can see that fonts are changed here, and I think this is pretty similar. So yeah, both are similar. We just have to give some styles of hover and everything, and the button. So let's give the styles again. So let's continue with that. So now inside the nav items, I think every style has been given. Yeah, and inside of here, let's give this an outline of 2 pixels dashed transparent, and let's give it a transition of 0.3 seconds. Transition 0.3 seconds is in out. That's it. And after this, we'll have A of focus, focus. And whenever we have focus, we want to give that an outline color of where theme color. And after this, we'll have ampersand hover, and whenever we hover over the li, we'll give it a color of where theme color. That's it. Now let's test things out. Yeah, the hover is working, and let's do the outline stuff by tab, tab. Yeah, everything is working. Now let's do this button. So for that, we are going to create a new component, reusable component. So that is going to be named as button.tsx, button.tsx rfce. And what I'm going to do is inside the navbar, first I'm going to import this button. We'll style that afterwards. So navbar, and after this UL will have a div named as nav items button. Inside of this we'll have the button, and we'll have two props for the button. That is going to be resume, and this is going to be have the link. So this is going to be http://localhost:3000 and resume.pdf. So for this to work, we also need the resume inside our public directory. So what I'm going to do is, yeah, we also need to delete this files. So I'm going to delete this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in my resume inside of this public directory. So resume, so yeah, I have the resume here. And make sure that whenever you host the application, then change the host of the URL here. So if you have hosted it on Kinsta, then paste it the Kinsta URL here. So now what I'm going to do is, let's head over to this button component and have this props setup of text and link. So here we'll have a text and a link, and that is going to be string text will have a type of string and link will have a type of string. So these are the props and these are the TypeScript values. So now what I'm going to do is, instead of this div, I'm going to use the Next.js link. So we are not going to use actually a button, but we are going to use a link and convert that into a button. And this is going to be have a text prop, and this is going to have an href, and href would be link. And again, let's give this a class name of btn, not children, a class name of btn. That's it. And let's head over to Navbar, and we have the button here. So we have to style the button. So for that, we will have to create a new file named as button.scss. So let's do that. Inside the components, underscore button.scss, and first we are going to import that inside of here. Import button, and let's head over to button, select the button, give it a color of where theme color. After that, give it a padding of 0.75 rem and 1 rem. After that, we'll give it a text decoration of none. Then let's give this a background color of transparent for now, and we'll give it a border of 1px solid and var theme color. Now let's give it a border radius which is going to be 4 pixels. After that, let's give this a font size of var tsm. That's it. Let's give this an outline of none, and whenever we focus or hover and focus, we are going to give it a background color of var lie test navy. That's it. Now let's check out the tab. So yeah, we have that, and yeah, our navbar is completed and resume is also being downloaded. You can see that here. So yeah, that's it. So now what we are going to do is we'll have the social icons here and the email here. So let's do that. So now let's have the social icons. For that, let's head over to VS Code, and in here I'm going to create a new component named as social icons.tsx. Right, RFCE here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to import some fonts. So these are not fonts, icons. So these are all the icons that we need. So it is coming from React icons package and specifically from FI, and these are all the icons that we need. And after that, we'll also have a variable named as social icons, which will have all the information. So this is the variable social icons. Just maximize it. You can copy it or you can just write it by yourself, and this is just simple stuff. So this is an array of object, and inside of that object we have the name. So the name is what type of social icon it is. Then we have the icon itself here, the component, and then we have the link that we need to, like, on the click of that social icon, where do we want to navigate it. So that is that. So now let's do our magic. So this div would have a class name of social icons. social icons, and inside of this we'll have an UL, and we will map the social links. So first let's destructure the name, icon and link. Name, icon, and we are going to use the link, and what we are going to do is we'll return the li tag. The li would have key as the name, also it would have a title as name, then we'll give it a class name, and this class name is going to be social icons, social SOCIL, social icons dash list dash item, and inside of this we'll have the link tag. This is from Nextjs itself. This is link, so this is going to be this link, and passing the href as the link here, and this is the small k, and in here goes the icon. Also this is going to have the class name of social icons, social icons list item link, and again we are going to pass a target prop, and this is going to be underscore blank. So what this will do is, so whenever we click on this, we want to open this link in a new tab. I'll show you that. So whenever I will click on this, it's opening this into a new tab. So we want to do that. So that's it. It's pretty much it, I think. So let's head over to uh, index.tsx, and we need to import this. After the navbar social icons, we have the icons here. Now let's style the icons. So for that, inside the components here, let's create social icons.scss. Head over to index.scss and import that here. Social icons, that's it. Let's head over to social icons and style this. So for that, first we'll have social dash icons, and let's give it a display of none to see if this is working. Yeah, that's working. Now let's give this a position of fixed, and bottom is of 0 and the left is of 4m. Yeah, that's it. Now let's select the list inside of this and give this a list style type of none. After that, okay, that's not working. Let's head over to social icons, and social icons dash list. Okay, I haven't provided a class name here, so that is going to be social icons list. So for that, let's head over to here, give this a social icons list. Again, let's head over to social icons.scss, and now the list style type is none, and let's give it a display of flex direction of column, and a gap of 0.5 rem. Now let's select the item inside the list, and let's give this a font size of var dash dash large t large, and this is going to be t large 2. Now let's give it a display of flex, justify content of center, align items of center and give this a transition of 0.3 seconds, ease in out, and let's select the link. Let's give this a padding of 10 pixels. Color would be lightest navy, not navy, lightest slate. So color lightest slate. That's it. And now let's give this a transition also. So I'm going to copy this, paste that here, and the outline would be 2 pixel solid, transparent, not solid. This is going to be dashed. That's it. And now when we hover over this, we want the color to be where theme color. Let's hover over this. Yeah, the colors are changing. And when we focus over this, we want the outline color to be where theme color. And after this, we are also going to use the transform property. So transform, and we are going to translate y with a -4 pixels, so it would lift up. And let's give this a color of where theme color. That's it. Let's hover and let's do one thing. Okay, they are being translated, but the transition property is not working. 0.3. Okay, this is 0.3 seconds, not 0.3. 0.3 seconds. And now we have the smoothing effect. Yeah, you can see that. Now after this, what I'm going to do is after of this bracket, whenever we hover over an list, we want it to transform translate y, and after property of this, after this list, we want a line. So for that, what we are going to do is we'll use the content, provide empty for now, give it a display of block, give it the width of 2 pixels and a height of 90 pixels, and a background color of light slate. So this is going to be where light slate. That's it. And I think this is also going to have a margin of 0 pixels and auto, and yeah, it's looking perfect. Okay, so this is complete, the social icons. Now let's do this email stuff. So for that, okay, so this has the gap here and we don't have that gap. Okay, so last one would have the margin. So what we are going to do is after this hover, we'll select the last child selector and give that a margin bottom of 2 rem, and let's check that out now. Okay, it's looking perfect. Now let's do one thing. Let's have this. So for that, inside the components, we will have an email. Oh, not here. Inside the components, email.tsx, rfce, have this here. And what I'm going to do is inside of this, we'll have the link tag from Nextjs, link, and This is going to have kishan21@gmail.com, and the to property would have, not to, href would have the mail to kishan21@gmail.com. Then we'll have class name as email link. That's it. Now we'll also provide this div a class name of email. So this is going to have class name email. That's it. Now inside of this here components, so we'll have another partial named as email.scss. Inside that email.scss we'll have .email. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. We have to import that inside index.tsx. So after the social icons, we'll have email, and there is the email. And now let's head over to email.scss and let's give it a position of fixed, bottom property of 0, and a right property of 4rem. Okay, this is not working. Let's give this a display of, oh, I forgot to import that inside index. Import email. That's it. We have the email here now. Now let's style this further and give this a display of flex direction of column, and a gap of 1.5 rem. Select link. Writing mode is going to be vertical RL. That's it. Now text decoration is none. After that, color would be where light slate, and font family would be Fira code, where Fira code. Let's also give it a font size of where TSM2, and after that let's give this a letter spacing of 0.1 rem. Also give it a padding of 10 pixels. Give it an outline property of 2 pixels dashed transparent, and transition of 0.3 seconds is in out. That's it. Now let's have the hover and focus property. So that should be imported from social icons. Hover, focus, paste it here. Let's hover it. Let's have the focus. Yeah, that's it. But we don't need the transform here. And inside of focus, we also don't want to change the color. That's it. And now let's copy the after pseudo selector from here. After, copy, paste, and instead of that's it, nothing else, no change. Let's do one thing. I'm going to have the tab, and you can see that everything is working perfectly now. This is also working perfectly. So yeah, now our social icons and this email is done. Now we'll have this home here, this thing. So let's do that. So now let's head over to our VS Code. VS Code, maximize this. I'm going to close all of these files, and inside these sections I'm going to create a new section named as hero.tsx. You can also name it home. RFCE. Now let's head over to index.tsx and import that before this navbar. So hero, and let's head over to hero, and in the hero what we are going to do is first we'll have this class name of hero. Inside of this we'll have an h1 with class name as hero dash title, and this is going to have hi, my name is. After this h1 we'll have h2 dot hero title large, and this is going to have Kishan shade, and after this there is an h3 with hero title large class, the same as above, and will also give that a hero title sub. That's it. And inside of this we'll write I craft things for web, I craft things for web, and now we'll have the p dot hero text. And for this what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the text from here, this thing. Let's head over to here, paste it, and this should be wrapped inside a link. So let's also do that. This is going to have ampersand apos, and this is link next link. In here goes rapidops, and href is https colon slash slash. Let's give it target, and this is going to have blank class name would be link. That's it. And after this p we'll have an div with a hero button, and inside this hero button we'll use our component button, not this one button, passing the text which is going to be check out my course, and link which would be https colon slash slash youtube.com slash Kishan shade 21. That's it. And I think that's it. Now let's head over to this. Everything is here. Now let's style this. So we have to create an hero.scss inside sections underscore hero.scss. Let's import that here. After navbar import hero, that's it. Now hero.scss. Let me shrink this. So hero margin top, let me increase this so you can see perfectly while writing. So margin top would be 4rem. Now let's give it a display of flex direction of column, and I'm going to do one thing. I will head over to index.tsx and wrap this hero, I think. I'm not sure. Let me check it out. Oh yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a main tag here and have the hero wrapped inside that main tag, and I'll head over to our global.scss, and what I am going to do is, so I'm going to head over to SCSS and I'm going to create a new file main.scss here, main.scss, and this would have the main tag. So main tag would have margin of 0 and 15 rem, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to import that inside the index. So import main, that's it. We have the margin, and let's head over to hero.scss and continue our styling. So after this flex direction, I'm going to give it a align items of flex start. After that, I'll give it a gap of 1 rem. Save this, and justify content would be center. Let's give this a min height of 60 viewport height. Now after this, I'll select the title, hero title, and give that a color of where theme color. Now let's give this a font size of where tsm2. So where tsm2. After this, I'm going to also give it a font family of Fira code, and yeah, that's it. So it's styled, and now we'll grab the title large, and we are going to use the font size where dash dash t giant, and let's use the font family railway here. So this is the first time we are going to use it. So let's check it out if it is working. Yeah, railway fonts are working. And now let's give this a color of where light slate. That's it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select titles dash sub and give that a color of where lightest slate. That's it. So the only difference here is the color. And now let's select the text. So after this, some person text, which is hero text, give that a color of where slate. Now I'll give it a margin right of 40%. After that, let's give that a font size of where t large. After that, I will provide it a letter spacing of 0.07 rem, and I will also give it a line height of 1.6 rem. We'll also provide it a font weight of 600, and I'm going to copy this font family railway and give it here. That's it. So yeah, this is also done. Now we also have to do this link. We'll do that afterwards. Let's have some styling for this button. So ampersand button margin top is going to be 2 rem. Then let's select the button inside of it. Give it a padding of 1 rem and 2 rem. And let's give it a font size of where tsm1. That's it. Check out my course, and I'll also give it a font family of railway, font family of where railway. Oh, it didn't make any change. This button is small in compare of this. Padding 1 rem 2 rem. Let's remove this. I think I know why this is not working. So let's head over to index this one, not this. Inside of this index, and we have the components first. Why is this still not working? Let's do one thing. Let me debug these styles. Oh, this is here. Inspect. Okay, so padding is applied, but still there is some change in the font size, and this has font family of SF Mono. Okay, so that's the issue. So yeah, let's do one thing. I'm going to provide this a font family inside hero font family of where railway, and it's looking good. And I'll do one thing. Let's give this a T large. Yeah, that's it. So it's looking great now. Button is somewhat large, but it is looking good. Now let's style this link. So what class name did we give it here? Hero.tsx, and this has the link class name. So let's head over to globals.scss. I'm going to select the link here and we'll style it here. Give me a minute. So what I'm going to do is, first let's give it a text decoration of none, then display of inline block, then give it a position of relative. Let's give this a color of where theme color. After this, what I'm going to do is do one thing. I'll just copy these styles because I just copied it from the net. Yeah, so what we did is, when we hover over this, we just want this line here. So I'll just explain you the code here. So this was written, we just copied this after and this. So what we did is, after we use the pseudo selector after, and after this what we are doing is, we want the uh, bottom to 0 and the left to 0 and a height of 0.5 pixels. So that's an underline, and we gave that a position of absolute, background color of where theme color, and we just use the transforms. So whenever we hover over this or focus over this, we want to transform and scale it to its original value. So yeah, that's it. And now let's head over to here, and what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use ampersand nbsp to give here a space, and yeah, this is looking great. Let's have the tab. Yeah, the tab is also working. Okay, so our hero section is complete. Now we'll have this about section. So now let's do this. So now let's head over to VS Code. I'm going to close all of these files, and inside this section I'm going to add a new section named as about.tsx rfce here, and head over to index.tsx, and after this hero we have this about section. Let's head over to about.tsx, and class name is going to be about, as well as we'll pass in the id as about. After this is going to have a class name with title. It's going to have h2, which is going to have about me. After this div will have the about dash grid, and inside of that grid will have about grid info. That's it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the text, so not to waste more time, I'm going to just copy it and I'll show you. So yeah, inside this about grid info we have this p tags, and every p tags has this about grid info text class name, and inside of that goes our text. Now again, for this second one we have the same class name and the text, but at the end we have this link tag for the hyperlinks, and give it this, and at the end the same thing. And yeah, so now after this p here, this p here, what I'm going to do is we are going to have an uh, unordered list which will have the skills of mine. So I will have about dash grid dash info dash list. So this is going to be an UL, and inside of this goes our li with the our skills. So I'm just going to copy that as well, because that's some repetitive text. And we have this about grid info list, and at the end we have this item, and write all your skills here, add or remove as per your need. And after this you will finish this div, and then we'll have about dash grid dash photo. Then we'll have a class name with overlay, div with a class name of overlay. Then we'll have another class name of overlay border, and at the end we'll have about grid photo container, and we'll use the next image tag, next image, and we'll pass in source as slash Kishan dot jpeg, and alternative text will be profile, and we'll pass in the fill prop here. Also make sure that the image is imported from next slash image. So I'll just explain it. So this will take the profile picture from public directory. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my profile picture, or I'll just going to copy all of the things, the images that I'm going to need inside the public. So oh, I don't need this folder. Okay, so this has the favicon, then we have the image, different images of projects and everything. So yeah, that's it. So this is done, and I have given a fill prop here. So what this will do is it will fill to its parent elements height and width. We can also provide a height and a width prop here, but instead of that we'll pass in the fill prop, because we want our images to be responsive, and for that we will responsively, with the media queries, we will responsively set the height and width of this div, and the image will automatically fill to that div. So that's pretty much it. Now let's head over here and we have this ugly image. Now let's style this, and for that let's head over to this sections and add about.scss, and inside the index I'm going to import the about, that's it. And inside the about.scss, what I'm going to do is first select the about and select the grid, it is grid, and inside the grid what I'm going to do is we'll have ampersand photo, and for now I'm going to give a display of none. This is curly braces, and yeah, we just have the text. So first we'll style all of this text and then we'll have this image and this overlay here. So first let's style this. So about has a margin top and bottom of 15 rem. Let me shrink this. So it is here. Now let's select the title, give that a font family of railway, where railway. Now let's give it a color of where lightest slate, color where lightest slate, and position of relative. After this, let's select the H2, give it a margin bottom of 2 rem, and let's give it a font size of where TX2 large. Now after this, let's give it a font weight of 700. That's pretty much same, and let's select the after now. So what we are going to use here is not the after, we want the before. What I'm going to use here is I'm going to use the CSS counters that we used in the Navbar for this 1, 2, 3 and this 4. So for that I'm going to use the CSS counters again, and in here let's define the counter by counter increment, which is title counter increment, and this is going to be title. And I think I have to set this counter, this title counter, inside the globals. So globals, select the body, counter reset is title, head over to about, counter increment title, and content is 0, call in the counter function where title, and have the dot here. Yeah, we have the counter. Now let's give it a margin right of 0.5 rem. After that, let's give it a color of where theme color, that's it. After this, we'll close this before and we'll select the after pseudo selector and give that a content of blank, display of block, position of absolute, and give it a top of 200 pixels. Not 200 pixels, we just have to give it a 20 pixels and width of 300 pixels, and let's give it a background color of where lightest navy, I'm sorry. Let's give it a height of 2 pixels. We have that. and we will also have to give it a margin left of 220 pixels. Margin left 220 pixels, and yeah, we have that here. That's it. Yeah, so this title is done, and now let's have the text. So after this, inside the grid, what I'm going to do is I'm give it a display of grid template columns of 60% and 40% each. After that, I'm going to give it a gap of 1 rem. Then let's select the info, and inside the info, first I'm going to give it a display of flex. This is this flex direction of column and gap of 1 rem. After this, ampersand text, color of where, slate, and margin right would be 10%. After this, let's give this a font size as well of where T large, T large. After that, letter spacing of 0.7 rem, not 0.7 rem, 0.07 rem. So that's it. And line height would be 0. Not 1.7 rem. Let's decrease that to 1.6 rem. Not sure, let's keep this for now, and let's give the font weight to 500 and a font family of railway, where railway. Yeah, now it's looking perfect. So this all is styled. Now let's style this list, and for that, after this text we'll have list. This is going to have display of grid template columns of 33%. Let's do one thing. I'm going to repeat 3 1 fr. That's a better way. Then I will give it a list style type of none. After that, I am going to give it a padding of 0 and 3 rem, and after that we'll have item font family of var railway. Then line height is again 1.7 rem. Then font weight would be 500, and color would be var slate. Let's do one thing. Font size would be var base, and that doesn't change anything, so I'm going to remove that. And let's give this a position of relative. Okay, so let's go here. So this is not font family, this is going to be font weight. Font weight is of 500, font family is that, and I'm going to give it a font size of where T base, not R base. This is going to be T base. We are here, yeah. T base. After this, Let's select the pseudo selector before, and content would be, for now I'll give it a 1. Then position is of absolute, left is of minus 20 pixels, top is of 6 pixels, and color is of where theme color. Now after this, I'll give this a line height of 12 pixels. That's it. Now instead of this, what I'm going to do is, I want this triangle from here, so I'll inspect it here and open this, and this has the before, and I'm going to copy this from here. You can also copy this from anywhere from internet, or you can have any other shape. So yeah, that's it. We have that. So this side of the section is styled. Now we have to style the image. So for that, we have to write pretty much code. So inside of photo first, what I'm going to do is, position is of relative, then width is of max content, and height is also of max content. Let's remove this display of none. Let's check where is the image. Image is not visible. I think we have to uh, provide the height and width. So let's select the container, position of relative, give it a height of 350 pixels and a width of 350 pixels. Yeah, the image is visible now. I'll do one thing. So you can see the styles. After this, I will also give it an object fit of cover and select the image, give it a Z index of 0, filter, grayscale of 100%, and transition of 0.3 seconds is in out. Border radius should be 0.2 rem. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is, outside of this container, first we'll have the overlay. So Z index would be 1, position would be absolute, and height would be 350 pixels, width would be 350 pixels, and let's give it a background color of hash 9D00FF4D. That's it. Now let's give it a border radius, not this, border radius of 0.2 rem. That's looking good, and also give it a transition property, so that can be copied from here. That's it. Now when we hover over this, we want to change the color. So first also let's have the border. So for that we'll have dot overlay dash border, and let's give that a Z index of -3, height of 100%, width of 100%, position of absolute, and border of 2 pixels, solid var theme color, and we are also going to provide it a top of 1 rem and a left of 1 rem. That's it, the border is there. And now let's give it a border radius of 0.2 rem, and let's provide it with transition property. So yeah, that's it. Now let's do the hover logic. So after this, here over, when we hover over this, so the overlay would have background color of 00000000. That's it, and 00, not that. And let's check it out. So yeah, that's working. And after that, we'll have overlay delay, not overlay delay, or overlay border, and this is going to be top of 0.5 rem, and a left of 0.5 rem. Let's check. Yeah, it's working. Now all that is left is to have the image with a filter, none, and that's it. So yeah, that's working perfectly, and our about section is also completed. Now the next is what I have worked section, this thing. So let's do this after this. So now inside of this sections here, I'm going to add a new section named as experience.tsx, write RFCE, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the experience array. So yeah, this is just an array of object. So this has the name of the current company, the role, the URL, the start date and the end date, and a short description, which is again an array of strings. So you can write it by yourself. This is nothing special. So yeah, that's it. And now inside the index.tsx, I'm going to import that experience. Let's head over to experience again, and in here this is going to have a class name of experience and an ID of experience as well. After this, we'll have the title, and it would have h2 where I, and I'm going to use I have worked, capital, where I have worked. And after this div, we'll have an container. Inside the container, we'll have an UL with class name as exp slider, which would have an underline class name. After this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to map the experiences dot map, and I'll get the experience and the index, and I will return an li. So inside of this li would have an span, which would have the experience dot name, and we'll also pass in a key here, which is going to be index. I think let's pass it index because we are using it. Key is equals to index, and I'll give it a class name, and this is going to be template string experience slider item. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a state. So whenever we click on any experience like this experience, so we want to set that inside our state. so the selected experience, and we would render that here. So for that, let's create a state here at the top. I'm going to use state snippet, and this is going to be selected and set selected, and initially the 0th element would be selected and import the uState. That's it. Now again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if the index triple equals to selected, then I want to pass another class name which is exp slider item selected. That's it. And on the click of this, I want to also set on click. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set selected as the current index. So whenever we click on this li, we want to select set the selected state to the current index. So now after this ul will have exp details, then we will have exp details position, and this is going to have an h3 with span. This is going to have experiences of index and dot. This is going to be role inside this span, and again another span would have a class name. Okay, we have an error here, cannot find name index. So instead of index, we are going to use this as selected, and class name here would be experience detail position and company. This is going to have experiences of selected dot company. I think that was URL, or yeah, this is the name of the company. And we are also going to wrap this inside experience company details, and wrap this inside an link tag from Nextjs link. Paste that inside of here, and this link would have class name as link and href as experiences selected dot url. I think I made a mistake. Experiences dot selected of url. That's it. And I'm also going to use ampersand nbsp at the rate and copy this, paste it here. That's it. Now after this h3, I'm going to have a p of exp details and range. Inside of this we'll have experiences of selected dot start, and then we'll have, let's copy this, paste it, and this is going to be end. That's it. After this p tag, we have an unordered list with exp details list. Inside of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have experiences of selected dot short description dot map, and this is going to have the description description and the index. We cannot provide the description as the key here because it is going to be very big, and we don't want to clutter the DOM with that. So instead I'm going to use the key as the index here and provide in the description here, and also pass in a class name as exp details list item. That's it. I think our majority of code is written here. Let's head over to the browser. Let me select anything else. Yeah, this is working. Now let's style this. So I'm going to here inside these sections I'm going to create a new file, experiences.scss, and let's write the code to style that. So experience, and let's give it a margin of 15 rem and auto. Control V, 15 rem. I don't think this is working. Let me comment this. Yeah, this is not working because I think we haven't imported that inside of here. Import experience, head over to here, save it. Let's check the spelling of the class from experience here. Copy this, and yeah, it's working. We have the margin here. My bad. After this, we'll give it a max width of 700 pixels. After that, let's select the title, and let's head over to about.scss, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this title from here, paste it here. We have this here, but we still have to style this. So margin left would be in this case would 380 pixels, I think 380 pixels. Let's check it. Yeah, it's looking perfect. Now let's style this. Let me decrease the size of VS Code again so that you can see the styles. After this, let's have the container, and just make sure that you can see here container. So give it a display of grid template columns of 20% and 80%, and after that let's give it a gap of 1 rem, and let's select the exp slider, list style type of none, and give it a position of relative, height of max content. Then let's select the underline. I'm not going to style this now, we'll do that afterwards. Let's select ampersand before, and give it a position of absolute, give it a left of 0 pixels, and content would be not counter reset, content would be this, and height of 100%, width of 1 pixels, and background color would be where lightest navy. So we had that thin line there. Now underline, let's give that a background color where theme color, and give it a position of absolute, then left of 0 pixels, no, left of minus 0.5 pixels, and top of 0, height of 2.5 rem, width of 3 pixels, and a transition of 0.3 seconds is in out. So yeah, you can see that the line is here. So this is for the selected one. So now let's style this. Now after this, before here, we'll have the item, give it a height of 2.5 rem, then padding of 0 and 1.5 rem, then let's give it a display of flex, vertical align of middle, and cursor pointer width of 100%, and after that let's select the span inside of this, and we're going to give it a display of flex, justify content center, align item center, and after that we'll give it a color of where slate. Let's give it a font family. Let's give it a font size first. TSM1, and font family would be where Fira code. That's it. Now when we hover over this, background color would be where light navy, and span would be color where theme color. Let's hover. That's working perfectly. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the item selected, and span and color as where theme color. So again, this is selected, so that's working. We also have to do this. We'll do that afterwards. Now we have experience, details, and initially this is going to have a height of 40 viewport height, and let's give it a font family of where railway. Let's select the position, give it a color of where lightest slate. We just wanted to give the color to position. Okay, position, and let's select the company color where theme color. Okay, that's working. Now after the company, we have to select the range would have color of where light slate, and let's select the list, and list style type would be none. Let's select the item also first. Item color of where slate. Yeah, that's it. Now inside this list, I'm going to give it a display of flex direction of column, a gap of 1 rem, I think, 1 rem, and margin top of 1 rem. Then let's give it a padding left 20 pixels, and that's it. Let's also provide this item as position relative, and font weight would be 500. And now we have to do that before stuff, so let's head over to about.scss, and I'm going to copy this pseudo selector, head over to here, paste it here, and you can see that here. Now everything is just the same. So yeah, all that is left is to move this underline. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'll head over to about.tsx, not about, experience.tsx, and I'm going to create a use effect here. Use effect snippet, not snippet, actually use effect, simple use effect, which would run whenever any selected element is changed. Make sure use effect is imported. Now let's create a function transform selected equals to an arrow function. Now let's get the underline class, the element, sorry. So document dot query selector, pass the type as HTML element, and this would be dot underline. Now let's have the underline dot style dot top equals to selected into 2.5 RAM, and we know that this underline is there, so we need the exclamation mark here. And now I'm going to call the transform selected. I will explain the logic. Let me see if it is working. Yeah, it is working. So now let me explain you. Inside the experience here, we gave the underline the height of 2.5 rem here, and the li has also the height of 2.5 rem. So what we are doing is we are checking the index from the selected. So we are getting the underline element and giving the top position to selected into 2.5. So now if I have selected the third element, so what we'll do is the height of this underline is 2.5 and we want it here, so it will multiply this with 3. So this is the current selected, 3 into 2.5, so it will bring the top position to here. So that's it, it's very simple. And the experience section is also complete. This is working, this is working. Now what we'll do is we'll have the smooth scroll behavior, and for that I will head over to globals.scss, select body as well as HTML, and give it a scroll behavior of smooth. And now when we click this, it should have worked. Yeah, this is working now. When we will select this, it's not working. When I refresh, it is working, but when I click on it, it's not working. It's working here. Let me check it. Give me a minute. Okay, I think inside our globals here, I have to pass the important property. And now let's check it. Yeah, it's working now. You just had to provide the important property here with the scroll behavior. So that's also working. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create this project section. So let's do that. So now let's do the project section. For that, inside the components, not the components, sections, I'm going to create a new file, projects.tsx, and what I'm going to do is rfce here, and this is going to have a class name of projects and an id of work. Also, I'm going to remove this, and instead of this I will have a title div here. Inside the title I will have h2, which is going to be some things I've built, and this is going to be ampersand apostrophes and percent apos. That's it. Okay, let's head over to index.tsx, and I am going to import this projects. Let's head over to the browser. I have this some things I have built here. Now inside of the sections SCSS, I'm going to create a partial projects.scss, and what I'm going to do is copy the styles and paste it here, and I also had to import the code. I'll just explain all of the code. Import projects. Yeah, this is here. Now for the content, what I'm going to do is inside the projects, first I'm going to copy the projects data, and give me a minute, I'll just explain everything. After this, there are some things I have built. I'm going to have this here, and let me check it out. Yeah, everything is here. Now let me explain everything. So first I have imported the icons from this package, the GitHub icon and the link. Then we have an array of objects. So we have the image of the project here, the name of the project, the link of the project description, the technologies used inside the project, and project external link of the GitHub. And if there is another external link, you can provide it that here. Then inside of here we did the pretty stuff of title. Then we have this project container, and inside of there we map the project's data, destructured everything, and have that projects and give the key of project name. Then inside the image we did the stuff inside the about section, the same stuff here. And we also provided a new prop here, which is quality of 100. We Next.js automatically optimizes the images, so we want the project images to be of full quality, so we are providing an 100 here. Then we have this project info section here. Inside of that we have the overline, which has the featured project overline. Then we have the project info title, and that's the pretty basic stuff, just the React stuff, nothing advanced. So I'll just do one thing. From top I will just scroll it uh, at a slow pace, so you can copy the code if you want to. Now inside the SCSS file, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this code and add it to the gist here. Got it, got it. So you can just copy that. So this is going to be underscore projects dot scss update public gist, and here it is. The first file is the logo and the second file is the project.scss. Just copy the scss files from here. Pretty basic stuff, nothing much complex. Now let's close all of this, and the last thing of the section that is left is the get in touch section. So let's do that. So for that I'm going to create a new section here, which is contact.tsx. Do the same for scss underscore contact.scss. Make sure that I import it here. Import contact and RFCE here. Head over to index.tsx, contact here. That's it. And now what I'll be doing is we'll write the code here. So inside the contact, give this a class name of contact and ID of contact. Remove this contact text, and instead of that I will have h2 with contact title. This is going to be uh, what's next. Then we'll have h2 dot contact dash sub dash title, and inside of this we'll have get in touch. Then we have p dot contact text. So this is going to be this text, and we can also remove this ampersand apostrophes copy this, that's it. And after this p, we'll have div with a class name of contact call to action CTA. In this we'll have our component button. We'll provide the text here as say hello, and the link would be mail to Kishan Sheth 21 at gmail.com, and that's it. Let's head over here and check it. Yeah, that's here. Now let's style this, and for styling we have to do very less things. So let's head over to contacts.scss, and I'm going to shrink this again, and in here contact max width of 700 pixels, margin would be 15 rem and auto. Then we'll give it a display of flex, gap of 1 rem, and justify content center, align items center, and flex direction of column. Then we'll have contact title, select the color as where theme color. Then we'll give it a font size of where t base. Then we'll give it a font family of where Fira code, and we'll give it a font weight of 300. That's it. Now select the before pseudo selector and counter increment title content 0 counter title and dot. That's it. After this we'll give it a margin right of 0.5 rem and a color of where theme color. That's it. And after this we'll have the contact subtitle, and give it a font size of where T giant, color would be where light slate, and font family would be railway. That's it. Now we'll have the text, this text. So for that, contact text would have color of where slate. Then we'll give it a font size of where T large. Then letter spacing of 0.07 rem. Line weight would be line height. It's line height of 1.6 rem. After that we'll give it a font weight of 600 and a font family of where railway. Also we'll give it a text line of center. That's it. Now we'll have contact CTA. So first we'll give it a margin top of 1 rem. Okay, these are curly braces, not this. Margin top 1 rem, dot btn, padding 1 rem and 2 rem. That's it. And we'll give it a font family of where railway. That's it. It's looking great. And yeah, so our majority of content is done. Contact, this is also working. So now what I'm going to do is we are now going to style the scroll bar, and after that we want to have this navbar fixed and the blur effect here, you can see that. So first let's do the scroll bar. So for that let's head over to global.scss, globals.scss, and at the end I'm going to select WebKit scroll bar, give it a width of 12 pixels. Then I'm going to select the track and give it a background of where background color, and then I will select the thumb and give it a background color of where dark slate. Then I will give it a border of 3 pixels solid and where background color, and after that I will give it a border radius of 10 pixels. That's it. So our scroll bar is also done. You can see that. Now let's do the nav bar. So whenever we scroll the nav bar, we want to add a class name dynamically. So let's do that. For that, let's head over to nav bar and maximize this navbar.tsx, and I'm going to use a use effect hook here. Use effect, and I will also use a use state here. So for that I'm going to use state snippet and pass in the navbar visible. Initially the navbar is not visible. Also import the use state, and we want to run this once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add window.add event listener, pass in the scroll here. So whenever we scroll, we want to run this function, and we'll check if the window.page y offset is greater than 100. Then we want to set the navbar visible to true, or else we will set the navbar visible to false. So as soon as we scroll, and if the height of the page is more than 100 pixels, then 100 pixels, then we want to set the navbar to true. And when the navbar is true, we are going to add a class name to this wrapper here. So this is going to be the template string wrapper, and we'll check if the navbar is visible. If it's visible, then we'll pass in the blur nav class, or else we don't want to pass anything. And now let's head over to navbar.scss, navbar.scss, and at the end here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new class named as blur nav. We'll give it a height of 180 pixels and give it a position of fixed. After that I will give it a top of 0, and transition would be our default 0.3 seconds, ease in out. After that we'll give it a z index of 20, and background color would be RGBA 10, 25, 47, and 0.85, and after that I'm going to give it a box shadow of 0, 10 pixels, 30 pixels, minus 10 pixels, and the color would be navy shadow. After that I'm also going to give it a backdrop filter of blur 10 pixels. Now let's check it out. Scroll and we have the fixed navbar. Yeah, this is working. So our navbar and the scroll bar is done. And now let's do one thing. We'll move over to the responsiveness of this portfolio. So first we'll do the responsive navbar, then we'll do everything responsive, the sections, and then we will add the animations, and then we will host the website. So let's do that. So now let's get started for the responsive nav, and for that I'm going to create a new state first. So this is responsive nav visible, set responsive nav visible. Initially it is not visible. Then I'm going to import some icons. So that is going to be the hamburger menu and the close. That's it. And after that, what I'm going to do is uh, after the brand section here, I'm going to have a .nav responsive toggle, and inside of that what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this. So this is going to be, if the responsive nav visible is true, then we don't want to show the hamburger menu, we just want to show the close button. And if the responsive nav bar is not visible, then we want to visible the hamburger menu. And we have the onClick function here, which would uh, close and open the navbar, and we have this e.stop propagation. So I'll just explain that after the functionality is completed. Now if we head over to front end, I'm going to save this and head over to front end. You can see that the logos are here. It is being changed from close to this. Let's do one thing. Let's do the styles also. And for styles, we will have responsive nav toggles before this. So this has display of none initially, and color of where theme color, and just the basic stuff. You can just copy this, and what I'm going to do is we are going to show this at a specific width. So that's where our responsive media queries get in. So before this blur now, I'm going to paste this. So this is a media query. If the max width is less than or equal to 10,020 pixels, then we want to toggle our responsive navbar. So what we are doing here is giving the padding as 0 to RAM and the Z index to 15 and all the pretty basic stuff. So this nav items would be fixed and would look different. I'll just show you in the responsive mode. Save this, and I have an error here. Okay, my buttons are still not visible. So this is where the wrapper ends, and I wanted this inside the wrapper, I think. So this is inside the wrapper, still not working. Okay, so the wrapper is ending here, and we need that at the end, yeah, we have the navbar here, and it's not visible, but we are changing the colors and this is doing this stuff. So for that, I think now let's do one thing. We are going to comment everything this because we are just working on the navbar. So I'll go to index.tsx and I'm going to comment everything here, open, and head over to elements. Okay, so what we will be doing inside the navbar is we are going to add the dynamic class inside the nav items. So what I'm going to do is, so instead of this class name here, I'm going to replace this with this class name. We'll check if the responsive navbar is true, then we'll also pass the nav responsive class, and the nav items was already present before. So let's do this once again, and now it is working. You can see that, and yeah, this is working. So I'll just show you the styles again. So inside the navbar dot this, so we have this media screen, and we just enable the toggle and have this fixed. So this is this nav items, this one, and that's it. And now what we'll be doing is when we click here outside, we want to close the navbar. So for that, what I'm going to do is going to write an use effect hook, and inside the navbar here, before this, add an use effect. So these two are different use effects. So uh, this is for just blurring the stuff. I'm commenting out this, so focus on this. So what we are doing is we are grabbing all the links first. So the links would be this links we are grabbing using the document.query selector all, and we are adding event listener. So whenever we click on any of this link here, this one, we want to close that. So this was for that. Then what we wanted to do is, if I'll just show you, I'll just comment these out first, and if I head over to the browser, you can see that here if I click anywhere here, this is being closed, and if I click on this link, okay, this is being closed. Let me refresh this. Okay, yeah. So if I click anywhere over here, this is being closed. We don't want to do that. We only want to close when we click here or any of the links. So what I did is I'll just enable this, and when we click anywhere inside the nav items class, which is this, the UL, we don't want to close the navbar. So what we did here is we also had this event listener on the HTML. So whenever we click anywhere on the HTML, we want to set responsive navbar visible to false so that it closes. But what we did here is inside the navbar nav items, we stopped that propagation of event bubbling inside the DOM, so it does not go through the HTML. And for this stuff, just enable this, and now I'll just show you that if we click here, the navbar is not closing. If we click here, it would be closed, and if we click on any of the button, it will close. And now other thing what I want to do is this thing, it just added a blur class whenever the responsive navbar is visible or it is changed. It just adds blur class to our main element. So I'll just head over to our globals, or yeah, head over to global.scss. Where did the right main class? Did we created a main file? Yeah, we have a main file, and in here what I'm going to do is I am going to have a blur class here which has filter blur of 10 pixels, pointer events as none, and user selects as none. Then we'll give it a transition of 0.3 seconds is in out, and let's head over to index.tsx. I'm going to uncomment all of this code, and now when I open this navbar, you can see that everything is blurring out here. So you can see that everything is blurring out here. And now let's close this, open this, everything is blurring out here. We will fix this navbar height issue, and that's it. So our responsive navbar is completed. So now let's start the responsiveness of this application. So let's do that. Okay, so this bug is actually not a bug, but it's because of Chrome. So we'll do one thing. I'll just have this in this responsive mode, and you can see that it works pretty well here. So that was because of Chrome DevTools. And now let's start the responsiveness. So for responsiveness, what I'm going to do is head over to index.tsx, and firstly I'm going to comment all of this, because first we are only going to focus on this hero element, and let's do the social icons and email first. So what I'm going to do is I'll switch this to mobile mode. That's it. And switch the VS Code to mobile mode also. So that's perfectly visible to you. And yeah, that's it. Now what I'm going to do is initially first we'll head over to socialicons.scss, and at the end here, before the closing, what I'm going to do is I'll just read this media queries. So whenever the display width is less than 1080 pixels, we want the left from 4 rem, this 4 rem to 2 rem, and whenever it is less than 768 pixels, we don't want to display anything. So this is less than 768 pixels, so this is that. And now let's do the same for email.scss, and email.scss at the end, paste this. So that's not visible now. That's it. And now for sections, I think we need to. Okay, so inside the main.scss, I'm going to add this here. So we have we have decreased this margin for every viewports. You can see that. So most of that is done. Now let's work on the home section. So let's quickly do that. Not the home section, but the hero section. So let's head over to hero.scss. Going to paste it. So yeah, that's it. So this is only that whenever the screen size is less than 768 pixels, we want this text to have a width of 90%, and if we go here, we just gave it 40% of with greater than 768 pixels. So now the about, and for that what I have to do is, so for about we have to do many styles with different viewports. I'm going to add it inside about.scss. I'm going to paste that here. So I'll just explain it. So we started from here. So this is for viewport width or less than 1080 pixels. We decrease the margin and had the overlay height to 223 pixels and the container to the same, and had this grid template columns of 1FR. So this is now stacked. Then after that, for 768 pixels, this one, what we did here is had the size at 300 pixels, both of these overlay and the container. So this is for that, and we just justified the content, and for the title we just gave the after property. So this one 200 pixels. So just increase the size, so you can see that everything is responsive up till now. And now let's work on this. So for that, experience.scss, and for this one also we have only very less css. So for experience, let's head over to experience.scss, paste this. So for this, what I've did is, the less than 968 pixels, we just add this title and this bar is moved. Then for less than 600 pixels, we had something different. So I'll just show you that. So this is more than 600 pixels. So whenever this is decreased, yeah, so you can see that the things that were stacked here is in this layout now here. So this is scrollable again. So this is just that. So we just add this, given this experience slider, a display of flex and overflow of x as scroll. So that did the things, and here we gave the grid template container, grid template columns, just 1FR. So this is 1FR and this is 1FR. That's it. And the title at very small screen size, we don't want the title. So when I will decrease this, it will be not there. Okay, so for that I'll just head over to responsive mode and decrease this, and you can see that it is working. Now we have to work on the some things I have built. Okay, so the projects already has the media queries. If you have copied the code from here, you can see that we had the media queries here. So nothing about that. Now for the contact, so let's have the media queries for contacts, and I don't think we had any media queries here. Yeah, we don't have any media queries here. So this is working. So yeah, our app is responsive. Our portfolio is responsive. So yeah, the responsiveness is completed. Now all that is left is to add animations and to add this loader, this one. So first we are going to add the animations, then we'll add the loader. So for the animations we are going to use framer motions, and It is very simple. For the navbar, we just have the things popping up from above and these things are from below. So that is very simple. So let's do that. So now let's start the animations. So for that, let's head over to our VS Code and first let's head over to navbar and import motion from framer motion from framer motion, and then what I'm going to do is whenever we want to add the animations anywhere inside our application using framer motion, we have to wrap that element using motion. So I'm going to wrap this brand using motion.div, and then what we have to do is it's pretty simple. We just have to pass in some props inside this div. So this is going to be initial, animate and transition. So initially when the elements load, we want the elements opacity to 0, and when it loads, we want to animate it using opacity of 1, and again there is this transition property. So from 0 to 1, this transition has a duration of 0.3, and the easing effect is ease in out. So let's test it, reload, and I need to remove this. I don't think it's okay. Okay, I didn't save the file. Reload, reload, and yeah, it's working. So logo has the animation. Now let's do animation for this, and for that what I'm going to do is nav responsive toggle. Okay, this also should have motion.div, the responsive toggle. Make sure that it also ends with motion.div. motion.div, and we are going to copy these properties, paste that toggle, that's it. And now what we are going to do is inside this UL, this li has motion.li, ends with motion.li, and what I am going to do here is I'm going to paste this code here for animation. So we also need the index from here, index, yeah. So initially it has opacity of 0 and the y would be minus 25. So this is y-axis and this is x-axis. So inside of y, so if this element is here, so minus 25 would be here. So initially the element would be here, and when will it will animate, it would come down here to its original position, and then we have this transition and we are giving it a delay. So after every element we are increasing the delay. So what this will do is it would have first this li would come, then second li, then third li. So that is for that. Let me reload this, and you can see that there would be animations. Yeah, there are animations now here. Yeah, that's it. Now all is left to add the animation to the button. So motion.div, 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 and I'm going to paste the animations. So initial would be 0, the same thing, and the delay. Let's refresh this and see. Yeah, everything is working perfectly. Now let's do the animation for this home. So for that I'm going to go to hero.tsx, and in here first this h1 as motion.h1, and we need to import the motion from framer motion here. Motion from framer motion, and this is going to have the same animations y is 5, so this would come from bottom to up, so that's it. And let's do the same for h2, motion.h2. We are also going to add that to h3, so motion.h3, and let's add it to p as well, motion.p and motion.p. And the hero button is also going to have the animation, so motion.div. Now let's pass in the animations everywhere. So for this h2 here, the animations are going to be the same, just will increase the delay by 0.75. Then for h3 it is going to be the same, will increase the delay by 1.05. For the p will have the same animations, delay would be 1.35, and again for the hero button the same animations, and delay would be 1.65. You can also try it by yourself and add some another animations if you like. So yeah, this is working. Now let's do the animations here. Let's head over to socialicons.tsx, and what we are going to do here is the same thing. So this div and this div is going to start and end with motion.div. Import motion from framer motion, and the properties for animation would be the opacity 1, opacity 0 to 1, and make sure that you provide the delay here. So let's test it out. Yeah, that's worked. Now let's do the same for the email. Let's head over to email.tsx. So first import motion from framer motion, and replacing this div with motion.div. Have that here. Yeah, we had the animation. Let's test it again. Yeah, this is working. Now let's do the stuff for about, and we are only going to have a single animation to the about, which is bringing it from bottom to top. So motion from framer motion. This div starts with motion.div, ends with motion.div, and what I'm going to pass in here is some different properties. I'll explain you that. So here first what I'll do is I'll check it if the animation is working. Yeah, it is working. So what we did here is we passed in this properties extra and the variants. So what this will do is when we scroll to the element, then only we want to trigger the animation. So if we did the other scenario like we did in the hero section and the social icons, and we had that animation initial and that, then it would not work because it would animate, but when we scroll to that element, it had already been animated. So for that we use this. So while in view visible and viewport once true, this means we only want to run the animation once. And what this will do is, so initially it would be hidden, and while this element, okay, so I forgot to insert this. So initially the element would be hidden, so hidden has this, and when it is in view we want visible, so this would be this. So yeah, that's it. So now comes the experience. So experience has the same animation, so I'm going to copy this, head over to experience, paste this here, motion.div, motion.div, and pass in the same animation here. That's it. Let's test it out. Refresh. Yeah, it's working. Now comes the projects. So let's head over to projects.tsx, and for this, not sure, but this is going to have the same animation. So let's do one thing. Have motion.div here, this one here, import motion from framer motion, and at the end this one has motion.div, and let's test it out. Yeah, it was working. Now all that is left is this contact section. So contact has the same animation, contact, import motion from framer motion. This is going to be motion.div. This is going to be motion.div. Paste in the animation. That's it. So yeah, all our animations are done. So we just need the loader now. So let's do that. So okay, so here we have to do one thing. We'll use this head tag from next head and passing the title as your name and link as favicon. We have already placed the favicon inside of this one, and I'm going to save this. And now you can see that we have this name and favicon here. Now let's do the loader stuff, and for that we need some state and a function. So this is going to be this, import the useState. I'm going to explain this. So we have this is loading and show content. So this maintains the loader if uh, if the loader is visible or not, and this is for showing the content. So as soon as the loader is loaded, we will disable this state to false and enable this content to true. So here what we are doing is handle loader loaded. So this function is passed into the loader. So let's create the loader components, loader dot tsx, and inside of loader what I'm going to do is just going to copy in the logo component, logo copy, paste loader, change this to loader, and in here initially what I'm going to do is I'm going to have is loading and set is loading as any, and have the use effect here, and copy this. That's it. Now let me test this. Okay, I think this has to be saved. Refresh. Okay, in here also I had to do some changes. So after this head, we'll check if show content is true, and if it is true, then we want to show all of this. Otherwise we want to show the loader component, and we'll pass is loading and set is loading here. I will explain everything, just give me few minutes. Reload. Okay, we still have to do the SCSS for this. So inside the sections, paste the loader.scss. It's pretty simple. This stuff underscore loader SCSS, and I'm going to import that loader. And when you head over to this, it has color, fill of none, pretty simple stuff. Refresh this. Okay, so I have to add the class here. So inside the loader, first I'm going to wrap this with div dot loader. That's it. This should work now. Still the size is not changed. Loader. Okay, so inside the loader.scss we just had to add this property important. So let's refresh this. So yeah, that's working. So I'll just explain the logic now. Inside the loader.tsx, we copied the logo. So that's the main stuff. Then we wrapped it around loader and add the loader SCSS. Now we have this use effect. So what we are doing is, so after the component is loaded and after 1900 milliseconds, so that is 1.9 seconds, we are set the set is loading function, calling that set is loading function. So that was defined in the index.tsx, and so that is handle loader loaded, and whenever this is called we are setting the set is loading to false, and after 450 seconds we are setting to set show content to true. So that's it. We are swapping the components. First this component is displayed and after 2.3 seconds this component is displayed. So now let's add the animations. So for that we are going to introduce a new thing which is animate presence. So that is something when it is used. Let's do one thing. I'm not going to do that for now. You won't be understanding it. First let's uh, create the animation. So framer motion, that's it. This is going to be motion dot dev, so we'll do that afterwards. So we are going to add the animation to the svg. So first we'll add to this motion dot path, and to this motion dot path. So what we want to do is, inside of this we are going to give this opacity of 0 to 1, transition has duration 1 and delay of 1, and this exit property is something new. So I'm just going to remove this is not needed, and have the other animation here. So first this would load. So we have introduced this path length with 0 to 1, and then we have this. So this would draw the hexagon and this would have the opacity. So let's refresh this. This is drawing and we have the opacity. Now what we want to do is, after the animation is completed, whenever this component is unmounted we want to decrease the size. So that is an exit animation. So for that we are using the animate presence component from framer motion. Animate presence, animate presence, let me import it. Animate presence, and wrap this entire div inside the animate presence, because this is the entire component. And we'll have motion.div here, motion.div here, and what I'm going to do is, I will pass in the exit animation here. So if we also have to pass in this unique key here, and whenever this is exiting we want to scale this to 0 and duration is 0.5. So let's reload this. Hope it works. No, it was not working, I think, because we need to add is loading here, and if it is loading, that's it. Let's test it again. Yeah, it's working now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Our portfolio is complete and it's completely responsive. So now let's host this portfolio on Kinsta. So for that, initially we have to upload all of the files to the GitHub. So let's do that. And so now what I'm doing is, I'm going to upload this to GitHub and then we'll host this project on Kinsta. So for that, we don't need this yarn.log file. Into recycle bin. We don't need the node modules. Delete those. This may take time. Make sure it is deleted. Then we don't need this .next. Go to recycle bin, and that's it. Delete all of these files, and now I'll head over to my GitHub, create a new repository. This is going to be Next Portfolio, and I'm going to add a README file, create the repository, and I'm going to add the files by uploading, and I will head over to the directory, this one, select all of this, not the git file, and I'm going to have this here. Wait for this to be uploaded. Okay, so the files have been uploaded, and now files, upload a commit message and commit changes. Okay, so that's done. So now head over to Kinsta and we'll create a new application by connecting our GitHub. So continue with GitHub, authorize Kinsta. Now I'm going to edit the permissions first and provide the permission for next portfolio. This one, save. You can also give the all repository access. And now I will refresh this page and it has the next portfolio. Select the master branch, automatic deployment on commit, application name would be next portfolio. I'm going to select my closest data center, which is this, Mumbai. I don't need any environment variables for this application. Hit continue and don't make any changes here. Continue. And for this, I'm going to write npm start here. That's it. And we are going to select this one, hobby tier. Now hit next and confirm the payment method. Now the application is being deployed. You can check the build process here. It would take couple of minutes. Okay, so that has successfully completed, and when you click on this link, you will be able to access your portfolio. You can see that it was very simple to host your application on Kinsta. So you can see that everything is working perfectly. Let's do one thing. Let me open this portfolio into responsive mode, and you can see that it's working perfectly in responsive mode also. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Our portfolio is complete and we have successfully hosted the application on Kinsta platform. So yeah, that's me, Kishan, signing out. See you in the next video.